Guys. Okay, hi guys. Just gonna wait for a few more of you. Oh, hello. Come online. Just gonna put my phone there. Won't let me turn it the other way around for some reason. I don't know why. So hopefully we'll have a few people here. Luna, what are you doing? What are you doing? Dog's being weird. So I'll probably cut this and I'll put it online. Probs. Maybe not. Maybe not. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Just wait for a few more people. I hate this little bit. It's rubbish. Ugh. Put a bit of light on. Is that any better? It's better. Hello. So I will just wait a little bit. Hi. So we're going to look at paper 2 today. Hello. Hello, 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 hello. We're going to look at paper 2 today. I've just got back from the gym. Cut my gym short because I know you've got an exam tomorrow. So I didn't do my cardio, just did my weightlifting. Hey, yeah, paper, Joy of A-level. Yeah, I'm really sorry I didn't do a live. I just, I'm not going to lie to you. I washed my hair and then I forgot that I was doing a live. And I thought you'll all be okay. You'll be okay. Also, I don't want to like freak you out the day before an A-level paper. Yeah, that's fine. I think it was a nice paper. The only thing I think I would have said was that I thought that IGOs were going to come up as the globalization 12 marker, and it did, only because I was looking at the double pages in the textbook and IGOs hadn't come up. So that's all. I'm glad it went well. That's great. Paper 1 went well as well last week. GCSE paper 1 went well. It was really nice. There was no case studies. What's happening? There's no case studies. But it was nice because there were quite general questions. So hopefully tomorrow will be good. Coasts are in paper 2. Last 3 months. If you're talking about GCSE, coasts are in paper 2. Right, field work. Yeah, I will go through the field work. So I've done a lot of work for my students on the field work. And I think this year, because you've been out in the field. Hi, Kaya. Hello, hello, hello. I hope you had maths today. Do people have maths? Was it math? No, it was history today. It was history. Kaya, I don't think you do history. Hello, Lisa. Hello. Yeah, I thought 8 markers were pretty good, I thought as well. Yeah, definitely. Oh, ICGS, not GCSE, I see. Okay, well, do you know what? Some of the information on here will be fine. Even if you're doing AQA, geography is geography. Do you know what I mean? So it's more or less the same. Hello. Right, so let's start with paper 1, section A. I'll get to the field work in a little bit, but I want to start with section A. And section A will be a couple of questions on rivers and a couple of questions on coasts, but not too many. And then you will get an 8 marker, and that 8 marker will be based on a source. So please make sure that you've had a look at, you are a loyal geographer, Kaya. Make sure that you've had a look at all those maps that you've got in the textbook about relief, about geology, about glaciation, about where high rainfall and low rainfall is. Make sure you know that there is a north, west, south, east divide in the UK, because it's likely that you're going to get a map and they're going to ask you something about the relative differences between different parts of the country. So know that the harder rock is in the northwest, the softer rock is in the southeast. There's kind of a bit of limestone and stuff going on in the middle. So that has an impact on the relief or the topography. Please make sure you know what relief and topography are. So that's got an impact on that. So there's probably going to be an 8 marker on that. Then section 2, section B, I should say, is your human geography. And again, there will be an 8 marker, but that will be based around a human source. So it could be a population density map. It could be a map showing disparity in wages. It could be a map showing domains of deprivation in different places. So just make sure you know kind of what's going on around the UK. Make sure you know that the north of the UK is post-industrial. You know that it's had the global shift happening. You know that there's lots of unemployment up there. You know that there's not a lot of investment up there, or as much. That you know investment is based in the cities and in the southeast of England because of the transport links, the flat relief, the TNCs, the high population, the amount of universities, etc. Make sure you know what studentification is. Students go into an area, they tend to go to cities. Younger people tend to move to cities and older people tend to move to the countryside. Just make sure that you know those type of things about the UK generally. Right, let's have a look at any of the questions here. Structure of the exams is different, yeah. Which questions do you not answer at the end? That's a really good point. So in the fieldwork section, you do section A and you do section B. There's no choice. When you get to the fieldwork section C, you either do coasts, which is what we did. We didn't go to a river, we went to a coast. So you answer the coastal questions. And then when you get onto the human, we went to our town centre, so we did urban. You do not do rural. So I think most of you will have done coasts and urban, I think. And all of my students obviously did now. This is EdXLB, Chapon or Chapon. Sorry if I've said your name. History was good today, Jess. Excellent. I'm glad it was. Do you do River 7 case study? Now, the River 7 we do, but there's not an awful lot to say about the River 7. It flows out of Wales and down into the Bristol Channel, and it's got a top, an upper, medium and lower course. So if it says for a named river, put the River 7. But if you're thinking I don't really know anything about the River 7, just answer the question. Okay, there's not an awful lot of case studies in this one, but that is one. So the River 7 is, you just really need to know that in the upper course it's got V-shaped valleys, it's got waterfalls, in the middle course it's got meanders and it floods a bit, and in the lower course it goes out to sea and it's an estuary. That's about it really. If we do coasts, I don't think we have to answer the rivers. 8 marker field. No, you do not know. Sophie, whoever that is, I don't know if it's my Sophie or some other Sophie. You don't answer any questions on rivers in section C. Okay, your rivers questions are in section A. Rivers and coasts, we all do rivers and coasts in section A. But fieldwork, we do either coasts or rivers. So please God don't answer if you didn't go to a river. And I think most of you. Is it 94 marks? I thought it was 105. Oh, hello. I thought it was 105 marks, but you might be. I think 1 or 2 have got 4 marks of spag. Clarification, right. So this live is EdXL. Okay, this is EdXL. However, some of the things that we're talking about, apart from the structure, might just be useful to you because, like I said before, geography is geography. So stay online if you want to. How many 8 markers is there? So there's an 8 marker in section A, there's an 8 marker in section B, and there's 2 8 markers in section C. One is on one is on coasts and one is on urban, if that's what you did for the field work. So 4 8 markers. Okay, so make sure you don't run out of time. You're not going to fail. Rose, you're absolutely not. So this is EdXLB. Can I go through everything? If you go onto my shorts, yeah, because it posted on shorts today. I don't know why it didn't post elsewhere. But you go to shorts and I've put a video of my notes that I've made for unit 2. And it's kind of like just a whistle-stop tour of the notes, if you see what I mean, the important points. So go and find that and have a read of it. That's what I would say. Paper two. Oh, should we structure 8 markers? So the 8 markers are a little bit differently structured. In the first 2 sections, it's based on a source. So make sure you use the source. You have to use the source. Okay? The source will have figures. The source will have relief. The source will have geology. Use north, west, southeast, in the south, in the west. Look for differences and then look for maybe like an anomaly or something like that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to kind of like answer the question. It will say assess like how, I don't know, how relief has an impact on population or something like that. So overall, I believe that relief does have a big impact on population, but you know, maybe there's other things that have an impact as well. Now do be careful of that. If it says assess how, like, I don't know, how relief has an impact on population, what else has got an impact on population? It's not just relief. It's where TNCs are. It's where there are cities and stuff like that. So just be careful with that. Urbanisation is on this paper. Elisa. Please don't say things like that to me the night before the exam. Urbanisation is, London is on section B. Okay, section A is rivers and coasts and section B is kind of London. Primary, secondary, tertiary. So how we move from primary and secondary in the north, then primary closed down because of mechanisation, tertiary, secondary closed down because we moved to China, and then we had tertiary in the UK. In London, we've got the knowledge economy, remember. We've got TNC investment, we've got FDI. Okay, so it is on this paper. Mass movement on coasts. Yeah, so mass movement just really means cliff fall. So when you've got hard rock, the waves attack the base of the cliff, it gets undercut, and then the top overhang falls down, and that is what we would call mass movement. Okay, when you've got softer rock like clay, you still kind of have mass movement, but it's slumping. So water gets into the cracks in the clay, in like, you know, in the summertime when the clay cracks. In the wintertime, water gets in and the whole thing kind of rotationally moves down. So that is mass movement on coasts. So it's either undercutting on a hard rock and then the overhang falling down, or on a soft rock, water getting in, subaerial processes happening, and then the whole thing slumping. So that is mass movement. Flood defences and coastal engineering. I don't know, but flood defences and coastal engineering is on this paper. So it could come up as part of an 8 marker, but the 8 markers are generally based on a source. So we'll just have to see. I reckon there might be a 4 marker on coastal defences and stuff like that. So are you joking, Elisa? Are you joking? I hope you are, because you give me a heart attack. For us, my teacher tells us to do 8 and 10. We did, what? 8 and 10, because we don't like 9/11. Okay, 8, yeah, 8 and 10. Yes, so whoever, KS, yes, we did those trips as well. So it is 8 and 10. Is it 8? Anyway, it's section C. It's the first one on coasts, not rivers. And then it's the first one urban, not rural. I think it is question 8 and question 10 because the way the other ones go. But urbanisation is the second section. Alia, you're absolutely right. Can you start everything from the start? Not really, but you can watch it. You can watch it again. I was just talking to the dog at the beginning. I don't know what else I said at the beginning. I think I just said at the beginning, make sure you go through your maps. So make sure you look at the maps of the UK. Make sure you know where your high relief and low relief is in the north and in the south. Make sure you know that the hard rocks are in the north, the soft rocks are in the south. Make sure that you know that lots of rainfalls in the north and less rainfall in the south. Make sure that you know that the farming type is cattle and cattle in the west because there's lots of grass. Make sure that you know that the sheep farming in the northern part and forestry. Don't forget about forestry, where they plant trees to cut them down to make paper, etc. That's a form of primary industry that happens mostly in the north, you know, in Scotland and Wales and stuff. And then make sure you know that in the south and the west, sorry, the south and the east, there's arable farming because it's a lot flatter and it's a lot warmer. So that's all I really went over. Stop saying weird stuff, otherwise I'll block you. A or B? B, I imagine you're saying Edexcel. Thanks, Kaya, that is right. Relief, that's a good question, Sana. So relief means how flat or high the land is. That's really important to remember because it may well come up in your 8 marker and it may well come up elsewhere. If it's talking about like why do certain places urbanise and other places don't. Relief, like site and situation of London, that's important. So the site of London is that it's on flat land or flat relief, flat-ish anyway. It's on a river. You can get across the river. You can use the river for trade. And then from a situation point of view, London is in the southeast of England and it's close to Europe. So we've got trade with Europe. So that's site and situation. Spag, you know what? I never really worry too much about spag. If you write a good essay and it's decent and it's got good terminology in and you've answered the question, you'll get 4. If you've done a bit of a rubbish answer and you've not got an awful lot of geographical terminology, you'll kind of get 2. So the spag kind of goes really links with how many like points you get for your question. So if you've like hardly answered an 8 marker, you're going to get 1 spag or no spag. And if you've done a really good question where you've used the data and you've assessed and you've used geographical terminology, you're going to get 4. Bewdley or Tewkesbury case studies, I don't know. Anna's World, because we don't do those. I imagine you've done Tewkesbury because it's the river. We kind of do the 7. But Tewkesbury's on the 7. Yeah, so Tewkesbury, yes. Tewkesbury case study. Tewkesbury was the area that was flooded when the 7 flooded. Mass movement I've just been through. Height of the land, yes, exactly. Height of the land relief is, yeah. So high relief means mountains, low relief means flat land. Structure the gate markers. Like I said before, make sure you use data with these ones. You must use data with the first two. In section A and section B, sorry, I'm just going to close the door. So in section A and section, oh, hello. In section A and section B, it will be based on a source. So you must use the source, and it will say something like, assess the importance of relief in, you know, where the population is in the UK or something like that. So you'll say relief is really important because blah, blah, blah. It's not many people in the north, as you can see. You can see the figures. And in the south, you can see that there's more people living here, etc. Thank you. Thanks. What different mass movement do we need? Like I said before, I'm not sure why everybody's caught up on mass movement, but anyway. So mass movement on the coast. If it's hard rock, like I said before, the waves attack the base of the coast. They do a little indentation, they do a little notch, and the overhang will fall down. So that is the mass movement that happens there. So you end up with huge blocks in the water. If it's clay, then clay's got lots of cracks in it. Water will get in there and it will cause the clay to slump. So there's two types of mass movement. There's rock fall if it's hard rock geology, and there's slumping if it's soft rock. Okay, I'm just going to have a little bit of my coffee. Definition of topography, not really. Topography just means relief. What type of 8 markers could we get for fieldwork? Oh, you know what, Alia? I don't know, because we've just gone back, obviously, to looking at fieldwork ourselves. So in our booklets, remember we've got those fieldwork booklets, it talks about like how reliable, it's probably going to be on reliability and validity of your results. And as we talked about today in our long support session, accuracy is to do with the implements that you use, the equipment, which was rubbish, basically. It was like a little clinometer, wasn't it? And we had to look at each other and see that we were the same height and stuff. So that's not great. When we picked up random pebbles, it probably weren't that accurate. But validity has got to do with like how well we did it at each time that we did it. Did we all do it in the same way? So that's why. Okay. Let's have a look. Go through the field work. So field work, if you did coasts, then make sure you know how you picked your sites. So make sure you know about your secondary data, which is OS maps or Google Maps and geology maps and SMPs. So you need the secondary data to look at where you were going, to see if it was safe, to see if you could get there quickly, to see if you could get there in the day, to see if you could get access to the beach, etc. That's your secondary stuff that you look at first. Then your primary data is you answering your question. And I think your question for coast would have been something along the lines of how does coastal management has an impact on processes? So coastal management stops longshore drift. So what you're looking at is, does the management build the beach up? And that's what we found, isn't it? Because we took a sample of the beach profile. We did the clinometer all the way up the beach, and we saw that when there are defences, then it's a very steep beach. And if you go to a beach that's no defences, we went to Reculver, it's much, much flatter. Okay, because longshore drift can happen. So defences, coastal management has an impact on processes. Okay, so section C, Tamini, is fieldwork section. Section C is the fieldwork section, the physical and the human. Stuff like flood defences and coastal, yes. Well, 4 marks for the source, like relying on it, then 4 marks for knowledge. Yeah, I would say yes. I would say definitely yes. I'd say yes, Madison. That 4 marks for using the source, and then 4 marks for like your own knowledge. I think that's a good thing. Field work for rivers and urban regeneration. So field work for we didn't do rivers field work, but if you did rivers field work, you know, it's the same kind of thing. What primary data did you collect? How did you collect it? What are your limitations of your data? What are your limitations of your data collection? Did everybody collect the data? Remember, there was one of our groups, I'm not going to mention names, Alice, who didn't collect any data. Yeah, so that was going to be a limitation because we didn't have all the data. So it may well, the 8 marker may well say how accurate were your results or how accurate were your conclusions. Let's have a look. Flood defences and coastal engineering, yes, will be there. That will be in section A. Section C is the field work. How the hell... Oh, hang on. What? How the hell? I don't know. How many case studies are there for this exam? Jen, there's not a lot of case studies. Okay, in rivers, there's probably the River Severn. In coasts, we do Holderness. And then for cities, we do London. And I was just saying today, we do Newham as an inner city, which is deprived. And we look at Richmond, which is an area in the suburbs, which is less deprived. And then you do Cornwall. So that's all it is. A hydrograph. Section C, yet again, section C is field work. Let me just see if I've got any paper to draw you a hydrograph. I'll be back in a second. Let's have a look. So, have I got any? Yes, I've got a bag. Luckily, oh no, I carry a bag of marker pens around with me. So I'm just going to draw you a flood hydrograph, which I did today at school. So, oh hello, nothing works now. That's interesting. Let's have a look. So we've got, and none of my pens work, which is interesting. Just going to show you this terrible diagram. So this is a graph. That's time, and this is discharge, and that is how the river normally flows, just nice and even with the water running through the river. And then it rains, okay? So it rains, and I'm going to mark on, because I think I can just about do it with this. I'm marking on the rain. I'm going to mark on how the water in the river changes in my very bad pens. So here is the rainfall. And then what starts happening, you can see the rain starts, it gets to a peak, and then it goes off. So the water over time gets into the river. It doesn't get into the river straight away because it falls onto the land. So it's got to go through the trees, it's got to go through the ground, it's got to go along the concrete, it's got to go off the roofs, and it's got to get into the river. So the peak rainfall is here, but maybe 12 or 24 hours later, that water gets into the river, and that's the peak discharge. And then it goes back to normal base flow. So this is the point of peak discharge or peak flow through the river, which is measured in cubic meters per second, and this is peak rainfall. So the gap between the two, I'm hoping people are shouting it out. What is it called? What is this? I want to see it in the answers. What is this distance called from peak rainfall to peak discharge? What is that called? I want to see some. Oh my god, there's a lot of I'm very slow. There's huge amounts. Lag time. Yes. Lag time, yes, we know something, well done. So this is the lag time. Now, is it better for that river to have a long or a short lag time? What's better? Is it good to have a long or a short lag time? What is better? For the river to have a long lag time or a short lag time? What do you reckon? Long or short? Long or short? Long or short? I don't know what wavelength means. Long or short? Short. Teo, no, long. It's long. It is long. It's good to have a long lag time. That means a long time before the water gets into the river. So things like urbanisation will shorten the lag time. Things like having pavements will shorten the lag time. Having vegetation and having forest will lengthen the lag time. So if you deforest, that's rubbish. Okay, so that is that. There's a lot of questions on here. It may well be. Yeah, it may well be. Let me just go through these. Now, London, I did just see London as a case study. I'm working up from the bottom upwards now because I've missed a lot of comments. Let's see. Now, if I go off, I may well go off at 30 minutes because it happened last time, so I'm going to be quick. So London case study, right? London grew. Obviously, it's got urbanised. Yeah, and then the inner city of London, the CBD is the CBD, it's where the offices and shops are. The inner city is where the migrants moved in the 50s and 60s and 70s because the land was, although it's expensive, the houses are cheap because they're very small and there was work for them there. So we've got a lot of migration into the city of London. We've got a lot of deprivation as well because these people haven't got good houses, they haven't got good healthcare, they haven't got a lot of income, they haven't got good education, they haven't got good access to green. They're all your domains of deprivation. Low life expectancy, poor outcomes for children, low amounts of education, etc. As you move out of the city, it gets richer because richer people live on the outskirts. Okay, so that's a bit about like deprivation. Then London's got a lot of problems. It's got problems with housing, no cheap housing. It's got problems with transport. It's got problems with pollution. It's got problems with congestion. It's got problems with waste management and affordable housing, which I think I've just said, and green spaces. So your BedZ, your Boris bikes, your congestion charges, they're all your strategies that you're going to use to improve London. Okay, so that's kind of London in a nutshell. Just make sure you know the different zones. Make sure you know why there's deprivation in the middle and not deprivation on the outskirts. And make sure you know some of the strategies. Okay, the maths, yeah, the maths it'll be pretty, well, I'll be honest, I don't know, I don't get maths anyway, so it's fairly simple. It's GCSE. I can't predict the maths questions. There would be quite a lot of maths questions. There was last year, so just be prepared. You know what? I'm going to give you... This keeps coming up, this. You know what 100% bar graph is? So what a 100% bar graph is sometimes goes that way. It's if you've got figures and then you add them all up. So let's say that's 100... Oh, God, I can't even draw. Let's say that's 100%. And that's 0. I don't know if this is coming out the right way for you. That's 100 and that's 0 and 100. Let's say you've got like 50% something. 50% people working somewhere. That goes there. Oh my God, this is bad. This is like the worst thing I've ever done in my life. None of my pens are working. So let's say we've got 50% of something. We whack the 50 in there. And then let's say we've got 20% of something else that goes on the top of it. Then 10% of something else. And then 15% of something else. So you end up with a 100% bar graph. That comes up quite a lot. Okay, that was rubbish. Anyway, I can't help you anymore with maths because it's rubbish. I'm rubbish at it. Rural case study, we did Cornwall, but you might have done Devon. And Cornwall is an area that's got poor transport, so is Devon, to be honest. Poor transport, poor education because you've got no universities, a lack of healthcare because everybody has to travel. Nice environment, obviously, but no investment. So investment is going into London as well. People invest in London because that's where the population is. That's where the quaternary and the knowledge economy jobs are. So remember that as well. How do you find the coordinates of a 6-digit map? I might come back to that later. Maths question on paper 2, yes. Holderness and the river... Okay, so Holderness is a soft rock coastline. It's had 35 towns that have fallen into the sea. It gets a long fetch. It's got soft rock geology. It gets onshore winds in the winter time, and it gets very strong storms in the winter. So that leads it to be a rapidly eroding coastline, which erodes at about 2 meters per year. They defend the areas that are high land value, like the villages and the towns, and they do not defend the places like agricultural land or agricultural land or caravan parks and stuff like that. That is Holderness in kind of a nutshell. And the River Severn, like I said before, the River Severn floods around Tewkesbury, around Bristol, because they're built up areas that have got impermeable surfaces. Okay, metamorphic rocks. I'm going the wrong way round here. London and Newham, I've just been over that one. So London, Newham is the inner city that has got high levels of deprivation because it's got people who live there who are of ethnic minority, who are uneducated. I'm not being judgmental here. I'm just telling you what the facts are, yeah? I'm really not. So people are living in maybe council houses, in flats. They've got poor education. They've got poor life choices. They make poor life choices. Not all of them. I keep saying to my girls, I'm making broad generalisations here, okay? I'm not using any judgment at all. These are just the facts for our geography exam, that's all. And I've got very poor outcomes. So there's lots and lots of deprivation, poor housing, poor health, poor education, lack of green space, etc. And then in Richmond, that's where the richer people live. So they've got more access to private healthcare. They've got more access to health and fitness. They've got more access to private schools. They've got better jobs. They're working in the knowledge economy, etc. They can get into London because they've got cars and they can go on the underground, etc. East Devon. Miss do geology and that. I did geology before. Said the north of England's got the harder rock geology, igneous and metamorphic. In the north and the northeast, west, I should say. And in the south, we've got the softer rock, the clay and stuff like that. I've just been through primary and secondary data. Primary data is what you collect, Abigail, and secondary data is things like ordnance survey maps or geology maps, or for the human, it will be something like your index of multiple deprivation and a map. Okay. Key topics that are guaranteed to come up, I don't know, Daisy. I honestly don't know. I don't know. It's hard to predict GCSE, especially after COVID, because they're bringing some other things in and stuff like that. I can't predict the 8 markers, no. I know that they'll be based on sources, but other than that, I really don't know. Right, I did the revision notes. I don't know. Right, Simply has just asked me, can you make a digital copy of the revision notes? I've got it on Word, but because I'm old, I'm struggling to know how I would get that to you. I don't have Google Drive or Google Docs. Okay, if I did, and that's something that I might look into for paper 3, I'll see if I can make a Google Docs and I'll put all that stuff in, because I've made a huge amount of resources. Okay, predict the 8 markers. No. The 8 markers in section A and B are Ramesa, always come with a source. Yes. Section B, urbanisation. Section A is UK physical geography. Section B is UK human geography. Section C is fieldwork. Okay. London case study, I think I've just been through it. Igneous rocks. Somebody must have asked about igneous rocks. Igneous rock is granite, yeah, it's in Scotland. See, you're answering your own questions here. That's amazing. Did I pray today? Not yet. Go through topic 4. What's topic 4? I don't even know what topic 4 is. We are expanding through FDI. Some people have been asking about. I'm going through these in the opposite way, to be honest. Foreign direct investment. I'm getting to it here. Yeah, so FDI. I imagine FDI is foreign direct investment, so that's TNCs that come to this country and they open up like Canary Wharf. So I think you all would have done London. So the TNCs come to London, they set up in Canary Wharf. The positives are that they pay the government some taxes, they provide job opportunities, quite high skilled and high paid job opportunities for people. So they pay taxes, the government, and that means that people have disposable income that they can spend on goods, which also give the government money. So it improves people's income and the UK's income. On the downside, they don't pay enough tax. They only pay about 5%. And secondly, they can put local businesses out of business because obviously it's economies of scale. So a bigger company can kind of afford to buy in more stuff and stuff will be cheaper. So that is FDI. Different types of rocks. I think somebody just did it. So, who was doing all the spamming? Accuracy, reliability, validity of your method of primary and secondary evidence. So accuracy is how accurate your equipment was, how valid it was. The reliability is how well you collected the data. So did you do it in the same way every time? Did every group collect the data in the same way? So even though it might not be accurate because your equipment was rubbish, it could still be reliable. And that would lead to your findings being valid or not valid. So that's the difference between those 3 things, which is a really good question because I think it might be an 8 marker on one or both of the fieldwork sections. So accuracy means how accurate you collected the data because of your equipment. We had terrible equipment. It was terrible. So our accuracy was rubbish. However, we were fairly reliable because most people, apart from one group, collected the data in the same way. So that would make your data reliable. But you can say that different groups didn't collect the data reliably. You know, I don't know, on the coast they stood on a rock, or they didn't measure it properly, or they were messing about, or they didn't write it down right, or something like that. So you can say what you like. You can say that your data wasn't valid. It doesn't matter. The examiner just wants to know why. And then the validity is whether you feel that the accuracy and reliability give you valid outcomes. Now, generally, your outcomes were fairly valid and fairly reliable, but they could have been a lot more accurate. So that's what I would say there. I'm thinking, okay, so I've gone up mostly to the top, so I'm going to go down back to the bottom now because there's a lot of comments here. So stratified, random and systematic. Yeah, so stratified is Stratified is like if you go to a coastline, you go to one set of coastline that's hard rock and one set of coastline that's soft rock. So you might be looking at the difference between hard rock and soft rock. So that would be stratified because you've picked two different coastlines because they're two different rock types. Random is just random. So, you know, you're picking up pebbles from the beach might have been random. But systematic means that in your beach profile, you systematically every 5 meters or every meter you took a reading. And then at the top, middle and bottom of the beach, you took pebbles. Okay, so that is systematic. You had a system. That's all that means. There was a system. It was every meter. It was every 5 meters. When you're picking your stones, you probably just put your hands on the ground and picked them up. So that would have been random. When you were doing your stuff in the urban area, we did systematic shops because we looked at every single shop in the area. And then we did kind of systematic environmental quality because we did one environmental quality in every zone. And then as we moved out of the town, we did it every like 50 meters. We didn't because it started raining, but we did it every 50 meters. So that would have been systematic. When you take, when you do questionnaires, they're probably random because it depends or stop. Formation of a spit, yeah, absolutely. It's longshore drift, taking swash and backwash back up. Then the sediment continues into the sea because the coastline changes direction. Okay, that's the thing for that. Do you mix data with your own knowledge effectively? How do you mix source data with your own knowledge? It depends on the basically you will I think you're talking about the 8 markers in section A and B, and what you would do is you would use the data. So you'd say in the diagram you can see that, I don't know, the population in London is 5 million people or 10 million people. That is because, and then you use your data. Whereas you can see that the population in Scotland, in the whole of Scotland, is 500,000. That's because it's high relief and people aren't living there. There's a lack of FDI. That's what you would do. So you'd use the data instead of you remembering data, that source is there so you can use the data, but your explanation of the data is your own knowledge. So that's a pretty good question. Main facts about the Holderness coastline. Like I said, you need to know that some places are defended and some aren't. So if I remember, Hornsea and Withensea, I think, are defended. And then Haysborough and another couple of places are not defended. So just have a look. I said validity just means like how valid were your results, and validity depends on your accuracy and your reliability. So overall, you're just saying, can you trust your results? And to be honest, yes and no. Yes, because they give you answers to your key question, but no, because you're a school child and you haven't got the best equipment in the world. So in some respects they were valid, in some respects they're not valid. Okay, sedimentary rocks, we've got that. People are talking about rocks now. There's a lot of things here. Let me have a look. Where was I up to? Sedimentary, I don't even know where I'm up to here. Formation of a spit, that was it. That's it, yeah, that's it. The Holderness coastline I've just said. I said something about validity. Sedimentary rocks created via lithification. Yeah, they're compressed. So sedimentary rocks were sediments that were compressed over time, that's all. And I would say sedimentary rock, clay. Clay is the big one because clay, remember clay because that is the one that's in Holderness. What's the OS map useful for in urban areas? Just to see what, your land use in urban areas. That's a very good question. You could be given, but I think that's mostly on paper 1 that. So you need to just remember that the very small, little, tiny little squares are the are the housing. Terraced housing. Then you've got housing in estates, which has got windy roads, and then you've got slightly bigger buildings will be your like industry and stuff like that. What are rivers and coasts for the case study for fieldwork? For the fieldwork, it's wherever you went. There isn't really a case study. It's wherever fieldwork that you did. So we went to Reculver and Herne Bay. Hi, Kaya. And we went to, I don't know if you've been asking me a question, Kaya. I've just seen that you've said miss. What was the question you said to use in our exam? I don't know. The River Severn and Walton on the Naze. Yeah, you might have done Walton. We did Holderness. Hard and soft engineering on rivers. Yeah, so flood walls, yeah, and levees, that'll be hard engineering. So flood walls, levees, straightening of the river as well to make the river go faster. And then soft engineering would be clearing the vegetation and letting the area flood, remember as well. So letting an area either side flood. But again, you can only do that when there's low land value. Okay, if igneous metamorphic rocks. Could you do ways to present it? Yeah, ways to present data would just be, we presented data in a line graph. So that was our beach profile. And then we did a bar graph for our infiltration rate and our sediment size. And then for raw urban, we did little graphs. We just did graphs for our high, medium, low order goods. And then we just did a little icon for healthy and unhealthy shops. And then we did a radar graph. So I'm going to draw one of my fantastic pictures now. The radar graph was for the... oh, this is better. This orange is working. So we had a radar graph, which I'll show you. So our radar graph was showing the environmental quality. So this was the environmental quality. These are like, I don't know, it could be like, was there a lot of graffiti? Is it clean and tidy? Is it high, medium, or low order shops? Is it pedestrianised, etc.? So that would be for my CBD, which our CBD is a bit rubbish, to be honest, where we live. But as you go out of town, if I can find a pen that actually works, as we go out of where we live, then you've got better environmental quality. So it will end up looking something like that. Oh, hello. So that is a radar graph. So that's how we would present our environmental quality data. We'd say this is the CBD, it was rubbish, all the domains were rubbish. As we went out, it got better. So land use got better, green spaces got better, congestion got better, air quality got better, noise pollution got better. So that's what that would be there. Predictions? No, I absolutely haven't got any predictions. Hold the line means just keep the defences there that are there already. So if there is, it means just try and keep it as it is. So you put groins in or something like that, that'll be hold the line. So groins or a seawall or something is hold the line. So you try to keep the land as it is. You're not trying to make more beach, which would be extend the line, which you put offshore bars in place, but we don't really do that. So that's what it means. Quick rundown on rivers, I do not understand. That's an hour in itself. Yeah, Ella, that's literally an hour. What do you mean a rundown on rivers? You know, you're not going to get asked too many questions just on rivers, to be quite honest. No predictions. 2 impacts of flooding in Sheffield. Roads get flooded and businesses get flooded and houses get flooded and fields get flooded. Crops get flooded. So there you go. Rivers case study for the fieldwork. There isn't one. Somebody's a witch. I don't know who that is. Who seems smart? Maybe that's me. I am smart. Soft engineering. I don't. Damalola. Is that my Damalola? Soft engineering on coastline is beach replenishment and managed retreat. That would be soft engineering. On the river, it would be allowing the area to flood and either digging out the sediment or removing the vegetation. Okay. Right. I think we're good. I think I'm going to go. Levees are things either side of a river. When a river floods, it deposits sediment either side, or you can build little walls and they just increase the volume of the river, because obviously the river sides are here. If you put a levee, it goes up to here, so the volume of water is a lot bigger, so it gets more water out. Floodgates just, it's like a dam, I suppose. A floodgate is like a dam and it opens and closes and lets more or less water out. That's all a floodgate is. Human activities result in distinctive landscapes. That's a good question. So human activities result in distinctive landscapes. One is could be forestry. So human activity could be afforestation, in which case you would grow a forest. So that's a distinctive landscape. And secondly is a city or a town. That's a human activity that results in a distinctive landscape, which is an urban landscape. What are the river and coast for the case study of fieldwork? I don't know. Daisy, I keep saying to you, it depends. Your case study for your fieldwork section is where you went. That's the case studies are where you went. So we only went to a coast. We went to the coast near us. Okay, if you're talking about section A, then the rivers, we did the River Severn and we did Holderness, but you might have done something different. Okay. I've just answered that. Explain 2 ways human activities result in distinctive landscapes. You said that you have to give your own question for the fieldwork. Yes. It will say, Kaya, it will say, what was your fieldwork question or what did you investigate? And it'll be for kind of 2 marks. So for the coast, our question was, how does management of the coastline impact coastal processes? For our human, it was quality, environmental quality increases as you move out from the city centre. There are 2 questions. Okay, there are fieldwork questions. Privatisation and free trade. Oh my God, privatisation means we were able to, right, okay, this is a bit complicated. TNCs were allowed to come to the UK in the 1980s when Margaret Thatcher privatised the big companies. So she privatised the banks, she privatised the railways, she privatised the water companies, etc. And that meant that the UK government did not own those things. Private companies own them. So that allowed FDI or TNC investment to come to the UK. Free trade is when we joined the EU. Okay, so TNCs used to come to the UK because we were part of the European Union and we could have free trade with no taxes or tariffs and free movement of people. So Bree Bubbles, I hope that answers that question. Kaya, a question about what you researched, your question. Yeah, so yeah, somebody's just responded to Kaya. London is the case study for topic 5, yes. Privatisation was when public services like trains were owned by private companies. Well done, Bree Bubbles. Yeah, you're doing my job for me. Who's asking me, am I from Birmingham? Algorithm? Really? Am I from... No, not. I'm from Liverpool. That's a cheek. How come there was not a level 2... Not a level P live? When will there be paper 3 one? Oh my God. Okay, Rob. Not a level... paper 2 live. This is the live. Anyway, paper 3, I'll try and do a video on paper 3 and I will do a live. I'll do it just before. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. I'm just ignoring some of these comments. I think we're okay, to be honest. In section C, are we supposed to only do Teo? You don't do them all. You don't do everything. Okay, in section C, which is the field work, you do either rivers or coasts. We do coasts. And you do urban or rural. We do urban. Okay. Tewkesbury or Bewdley, I think you can do either. Anna's World. Arable farming, I don't know what that means. Field work on rivers, we don't do river field work. I'm really sorry. I imagine you looked... I'm not really actually sure what you would look at for rivers. We looked at how does coastal management have an impact on processes. Maybe you looked at how variables change downstream. Probably you looked at like velocity, channel width and channel depth, how it changes downstream. That's probably what you did. So you probably looked at maybe an upper and a middle part of the river and saw that in the upper course it was narrower but deeper, and in the lower section it was wider and deep, and the velocity is quicker and the discharge is more. That's probably what you did. Gentrification is when rich people move into a regenerated area like Canary Wharf or the Olympic Park, and rich people move in, so they get the houses. Houses are expensive. There's a lot of job opportunities, etc. Studentification means when students move into an area, and it's good for an area because they spend money there. Now, the thing just to remember is that if an area is gentrified or regenerated, it's good for the people moving in, but it's not good for local people. Because remember, local people in the inner city area have low levels of qualifications, low levels of skills, and they don't have a lot of money. So they can't access the jobs, they can't access the expensive services, and they can't access the houses. Okay. I'm worn out now. I think somebody's answered. RPG Records. You're very good. Well done. You might be a teacher. Paper 2 videos for Geography 8. No, there isn't. I'm sorry, I don't do Geography 8 at the moment anyway. FDI comes in with TNCs. Last minute tips. I haven't started revising. Perhaps think about not doing Geography for A-level. That's my tip. NHS no, the NHS isn't privatised, but everything else is. Right, I think I'm going to go now because I think we're getting similar things. We're just asking similar questions and I need to... exam board is this, it's EdXLB. Right, so I think we've gone over a lot. This is going to upload so you can always look back at the nonsense that we've been speaking. Please go and check out some of my other videos because I've done lots and lots of videos on paper 2 as well. Go yeah, good luck everybody tomorrow. What would you say your methods for the fieldwork are inaccurate? Yeah, it's an equipment error. Yeah, the fieldwork methods were inaccurate because the equipment was rubbish. No, I'm not going to stay, sorry. Jess, you're welcome, you're welcome. I will see all of my students tomorrow. Good luck, you've got this. I think there will be some questions on globalisation, I think, yeah, definitely. So I'll see you all tomorrow. In the morning, I'll be shouting at you to come and find me, to register you, and I'll be shouting at you to make sure that you don't answer the rivers section as well. So you're all welcome. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Good luck, everybody. I'm going to try this again, but heart me if you're from my school. Send me hearts. I didn't see it last time. So everybody from my school, send me hearts. See, I think, see, it's not happening again. See, I think nobody loves me now. That's the globalisation is when links between countries. So when a TNC comes to a country, oh, nobody's hearting me. Nobody's sending me hearts. It's when globalisation is when TNCs come here. Okay, all right. Well, you can still send me a heart if you like. All of my students might have gone. I'm sorry there wasn't a paper 2. I told you thanks. I told you I washed my hair and then I didn't do a live. That's a very bad reason, but there you go. Thank you. Thanks for all the heart. Yeah, I don't know. That's nice. So thank you, Millie. So good luck, everybody. And I'm gonna thanks, Kaya. And I'm going to go now if I can remember how to turn it off. So good luck, guys, and maybe let me know how you got on. Okay, bye. If I can turn it off, that would be useful, wouldn't it? Bye.